Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Tuesday to you all. Let us continue with the new music. We're continuing with the Feverse release, and checking out the CHO album. Well, technically it's a single, but we've got the three Feverse versions of the Girls Reverse songs to check out. So I figured jump on over to Spotify and take a little gander right quick. So here we go. We checked out the title track. It was very enjoyable indeed. I loved it. And yeah, we've got technically these are new songs because for reference, I Promise is the opening song of the entire show. Okay, go, go, do, do, do. We checked the song out back when it dropped. Back when the show was originally supposed to start before they ran into issues with like copyright about the avatars and so on and so forth. Time Takes Me to Love and Like a Star are the two finale songs from the show when they made it to the final 10. Off the top of my head, I don't actually remember who was on what group because the final five that made it to Feverse were not part of like one team or another. They were scattered around. So the final 10 had Heejin of Luna and now Artemis, Apinks Hayoung, Luda and Subin from Uju Sonyo. It had Konumbi. It had Bandit Sungun. Cherry Bullets Bora. Rocket Punch's Judy. Purple Kisses Swan. And Weekly's Monday. Now, if I'm correct in thinking, Sungyun, Judy, Hayoung, Swan, and Monday were on one team, and that left Umbi, Heejin, Bora, Luda, and hold on, let me think. Umbi, Heejin, Bora, Luda, and there's one more that I can't. I guess Subin? Was it Subin? Those were like the 2-5 teams. So I guess in reality, only one team from the, or one member from one song moved over. The rest were already on one team. So I reckon one of these songs is going to sound very similar to how it did during the finale of the show, which I think is fine. And one is going to sound really fresh because it's going to have such different voices on it. And while at the end of the day it was a competition show, so it was very much sad to see the five contestants not make the final lineup, especially because of the vocal talent on display on those five that were eliminated, or something special. But that is the nature of these competition shows sometimes. So I digress. Let us get into the album. So we've got I Promise, Time Takes Me to Love, Like a Star, and maybe you might throw in the instrumental track for CHO at the end. I don't know yet. But here we go. I don't actually remember who sang the original, because there were 30 idols at this point. Let's sing a song. 너와는 약속해. 함께 하기로 약속해. Admittedly, because the original was sung with 30 voices, on the unison parts it does feel a little bit hollow. Much like how all of the produce intro songs sound once they go into the final groups, but I think that's okay. But I think because of the fact that you don't have 30 voices singing the chorus, you hear the harmonies a little bit clearer. I have to check the credits. Yeah. You hear a very subtle harmony, but you hear it clearer than when the chorus was in 30-member unison. 약속해. 약속해. 함께하기로 약속해. 하얀 the 수분 and the heat. Was that high note different? 약속해. Very much exactly how I remember the song. I think there are certain elements that are just a hair different. Primarily that unison chorus, because there's, well, quite literally 5/6 less in terms of members. There's 25 less people singing the chorus than originally, which makes sense why it would feel a little bit hollow, especially if the original was, very much grandiose. But I feel like there were elements where it was a little bit more vocally complex, whether it was more subtle, like background vocals that were noticeable, or I'm trying to think if we even had that kind of like held high note on the final chorus in the original 30-member version. Because it's been a hot minute since I've listened to this song, but I'm telling you, the original music to come out of the show, while limited in number, is really good. I mean, primarily it was a lot of covers and things like that, like during the actual rounds of the show. But the original music they composed for the show, really good. So, Time Takes Me to Load. This is Time. So we had Time versus Destiny Round. I'm pretty sure this is Time. If I remember correctly, this was the song with the majority of the Feverse members on it originally. I need to check credits. Yeah, okay. So this was the one that originally had Heejin, had Eunbi, had both Uju Sanya members, and originally had Bora of Cherry Bullet. Okay. So this won't sound too different. I reckon Hayoung's vocal is going to be a lot more noticeable. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, because this is the one that reminded me of like a Japanese anime opening. I wonder if they gave Bora's lines straight to Hayoung, because they have very different vocals. It's mixed kind of quietly. Let me bump you all up on OBS a little bit. I feel like the line distribution wasn't just one for one. It's been reassigned a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely been reassigned. Because admittedly, Bora's vocals are special. They are high, they are powerful. Not many people can match her vocals. It is mixed a little bit quietly though. I wonder why. Background vocals? They kept the punchy piano the same. Okay, so I didn't realize how similar in style CHO was to Takes Me to Love, or Time Takes Me to Love. There's very much that kind of orchestral element to it. I guess with this one, it's in the form of that acoustic piano more than the actual string section, but then you get the slowly building electric guitar leading into the final chorus where you have the guitar solo and things like that. And the song very much, I mean, having 4/5 of the same members sing it does help, I think, because it very much does feel like the finale, the song from the show's finale, just without Bora and with Hayoung instead, which it gets this naturally how it happens, so I can't really complain about it too much. Knowing the original though, and this is nothing against Hayoung, but I do miss Bora's vocals on this song because for me, like this song was dominated by the high vocals, the high powerful vocals, and if you give someone high powerful vocals, you're gonna be hard pressed to find someone in the industry who can pull it off as consistently as Bora does. I'm still convinced by that. That Bora and her vocals, especially those powerful high tones, she's some of the best. Like a Star, however, this is going to be really different. Because this song, also on the finale, had some very iconic and recognizable vocals in Monday and Swan. It had Hayoung as well. And Sungin and Judy, all the props to them, but for me, in terms of just sheer vocal power and prowess, it's hard to top Monday and Swan. They are some of the most like vocally charismatic, I think, female vocalists out there right now. The power they have once they're on the microphone with their voice is different with them. Frank, I can't wait until whenever Weekly decide to come back, IST, but this song was like the little gateway drug that kept you going in the absence of Weekly and back then Purple Kiss, because they hadn't had the Cabin Fever EP drop yet. which is a great album, by the way. Highly encourage you to check it out if you haven't. But Like a Star, this one, that's the big one right there. Aftershock and Mr. Huta of B2B is on writing credits for this, and this is the song that kind of started the whole B2B journey with me. So, Like a Star, this was I think, this was the favorite of the two finale songs for me, so I'm very much excited to hear this song again. EQing is really interesting across the album because this is very loud. We're keeping the vocal harmonies, yes. This was Monday's Love. That's Heejin on the part. And they kept Hyung on the low entry. Honestly, Hyung in this group is such a power play because the low vocals, she does something really special with those. Good start. I do like this version though. I like how the verses are really soft. Really gentle, like leading you into... That Hyung on the moment? Okay. Oh, here we go. Buckle up, everybody. Who is that up on the high note? Did they have Heejin go up there? It does, like, I'm trying to think of who hit those high notes, because it could be Subin. Subin is very much capable of hitting those high notes. But it's not her vocal color. Eunbi can hit those high notes, but I don't think it's her vocal color. It's definitely not Hyung's vocal color. And while Luda really doesn't get a lot of chances to showcase her like high vocals in Wuju Sonya, I don't think it's her. So by process of elimination, that leaves Heej. And it has been so long since we've had a Heejin high note, it's just in general, that, oh. Being in orbit, it just kind of feels fulfilling, you know? Because it's been so long. since we've been able to listen to Luna. But that's good. That's good. I do have quite a soft spot for the original version, just because of the vocalists involved, and that's nothing against the final members. But they did a good job with this. It doesn't feel too far off from the original, but they played to each member's strengths in this version. So while they might not have the vocal color and the power of, Swan and Monday, they used different parts throughout the song and incorporated their own little flair to it, whether it is like the containing that little soft vocals throughout the song until you reach the chorus, or the way they kind of played around with the swells in their vocals. Like, they made this version their own, even though 4/5 of the members never sang this song before. And I think that's really nice. Okay, typically I don't listen to instrumental tracks on album listens. Two reasons, because, well, time constraints. These are really boring because you don't really get the vocals, and you know how I love a good vocal. But I'm very much a sucker for strings, so I'm gonna listen to it anyways. I do want to see credits. Kimdon Soyeonbae. Okay. Do I recognize those two names? I feel like I should recognize those names, but I don't. But when I listen to it again, kind of experience the glory of the strings, in a way. Just kind of want to actually understand how the song sounds without the vocals. So, here we go. Yeah, it still feels Super Mario Galaxy to me. It's actually pretty heavy on the strings still. Oh, cello and bass in the background? I hear you. Throwing a little bit of chip tune as well. It is very much symphonic pop. Even more so than I initially anticipated. And then we're back into the lower strings. Heard a little bit more of the electric guitar as well in the mix. Oh, this bridge is punchier in the instrumental track. Cello solo, okay. That pause does it really nicely without the vocals. There's nothing to cover it. And then the guitar solo. okay, the instrumental track for CHO has a lot more string than I thought. Like, a lot more. Admittedly, when you have kind of like the quality of vocals in this group on like overlaid on top of it, the backing track does get overshadowed a little bit. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's supposed to do. It's meant to accompany the vocals, not be alongside the vocals. And that's a very important part about music is accompaniment is meant to follow the lead, not join with. It's always meant to be one step back in terms of how imposing it is on the full product. And because of it, in pop songs most of the time, you do miss little details in the instrumental track unless you listen to it completely isolated away from the vocals, like in this case. And I wish more artists and more companies published instrumental tracks for their titles. Because it used to be a really common thing back in the day. I mean, heck, Lovelyz released an entire album of title track instrumentals back in the day. Like unironically, that is one of my favorite albums of all time. Is because it's literally 45, 50 minutes of Lovelyz instrumentals. And if you know anything about me, that was like the genre, the like group, one of the groups that brought me back into K-pop back in the day. But this is nice. I'm very much a sucker for strings. I've mentioned it already. But this does have a really nice amount of strings. And it's rare, I think, that we get an upbeat pop song like this where the main instrumental section and like sound samples used in the MR is orchestral strings. It's not synth pad, it's not drums, it's not electric guitar, it's not keyboard. It's string instruments, which is really cool to see because typically you get string instruments on slower songs. You don't associate it with really quick upbeat songs like this. And I'm glad they brought it out. I mentioned it in the MV for CHO. I don't know what Kakao are gonna do with this group because this is entirely unprecedented what they're doing. We've had super groups in the past for special singles. Sure, like we've had groups like Mamadou, we've had Refund Sisters, we've had Celeb 5, we've had the four responsible for Wow Thing. Anyone remember Wow Thing? We had Sulgi, we had Chunga, we had Shimbi, we had Sign of Idol. Like, that is a super group. And by kind of definition, you could consider Feverse as a supergroup. Because, Hyung's Apink's Hyung. Hyung has been in the industry for a long time. They've been active for 10, 11 years now. Wuju Sonya's like Luda and Subin are very well established names in the industry already. They've been active for 6 going on 7 years, I think. Heejin, one of the most recognizable members out of Luna. She was the first member of Luna that debuted solo as part of Jaden Jung's pre-debut project. She was Luna #1. She's been there from the very, very beginning and always has been like that captivating figure within Luna. And then Umbi, former IZ*ONE leader, the eldest of the group, already a pre-established idol before Produce. For those of you who know, you know, you know. Then leader of IZ*ONE through all the trials and tribulations that came on to IZ*ONE after Produce 48, and then went solo afterwards once again. This is Umbi's technically 4th involvement with K-pop, because yeah, Produce 48, and then by definition IZ*ONE, because she made the final lineup. I guess we'll count those two as one. Solo, and then Feverse. She's had her like feelers in a lot of different corners in different generations. These are well-established idols. This is, by definition, a supergroup, but no one has attempted anything like this in terms of the virtual concept, the alter egos. We've had virtual idols in the past already. We've had Maeve, we've had Superkind. Superkind really bridging the gap between AI idols and actual human idols. A full-on four-member AI idol group that we've checked out in the past and things like that. But the common thing about both of those groups is that the AI idols are meant to try and replicate the human idols in terms of like their actions, visuals, things like that. They are meant to kind of be a digital version of a human idol. They are doing that with Feverse. They are really riding along that virtual idol line. They've gone, humanoid characters, but not human characters. Very much akin to how, the VTuber scene that's been blowing up in the last few years. And that whole kind of gimmicky thing, I reckon, could turn some people off of it. The sound, for sure, the music isn't a sound that's entirely for everybody. This is definitely a very choosy genre of music. So I reckon I'd be interested to see what direction they go with this and how it's being marketed and how successful it is domestically and internationally. There'll be an interesting case study, I think, for just the industry in general, because they are spearheading this kind of real, actual virtual idol world right now. So, very interesting stuff. I very much like the whole project. Hopefully, this isn't the last time we'll see of them. And hopefully, we get to see the members, who were unfortunately eliminated on the show get involved with their own group stuff as well, because I do quite like a lot of the artists involved. There are some really good artists that unfortunately didn't make the final five. And hopefully, people that made it to the final five also have involvements with their groups moving forward. Wuju Sonia re-signed their contracts. The Laluda situation is still kind of up in the air a little bit. Umbi's due a comeback at some point. Considering Underwater was last October, it's been 7 months since she's had a comeback. I feel like we should get a comeback soon. Kijin, of course, is part of Artemis now. Whatever Jaden Jung is doing with that project, I don't know yet. And then, of course, Hyung is very fresh off of a comeback with APEC recently. So, good stuff, good stuff. Very much enjoyed it. But that is it from me today. Lots of rambling today, but hopefully you found the conversations and the analysis worthwhile. Thank you all for watching. One last request from me today. Let us work together as a community to bring a little bit of extra happiness back out into the world, whether it be checking in with your friends and family, holding the door open for somebody, even picking up a piece of trash off the street. Just something small, one small act of kindness that may brighten up someone else's day to day. And know that wherever you are in the world, if you are ever going through a tough time in life, even though I am just some random guy on the internet who waffles about music in his free time, I will always be a friend, an ally, and a shoulder to lean on whenever you need me. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, spread the love, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.